It is said that in Ulthar, which lies beyond the river sky, no man may kill a cat. And this I can verily believe, as I gaze upon him who sitteth purring before the fire. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and gender non-conforming people, and welcome to the Carr-Quest of H.P. Lovecraft. And today, we're going to be reading a very, very, very short story by H.P. Lovecraft. And it is the Cats of Ulthar. Yes, the Cats of Ulthar. Again, and by really short, I do mean really short. So, like, I'll give you an example. I'll show you. So here's the Cats of Ulthar. Here's the, it's printed like this. And you see over there. And I'm reading Cats of Ulthar. And that's the end of the story on this page. So it's literally 1, 2, 3 pages. So that's what I mean by it's a really short story, but it's a pretty good short story. As for what it's about, well, it also says on the back of the collection here, for the Cats of Ulthar, in Ulthar no man may kill a cat, and woe unto any who tries. So yeah, so this is so basically what this story is about. Well, it's about the Cats of Ulthar, as you may have guessed, and how in Ulthar it's kind of this village by this river sky, and in the town of Ulthar, as I've said again over the course of a few times in this video, no man may kill a cat. But why can no man kill a cat, outside of the fact that killing a cat is messed up? Well, in the story, in the village of Ulthar, there once lived a older man and his wife who delighted in such activities, and who basically took pleasure out of doing it. And then a caravan comes along. But one of the people inhabiting the caravan is I did this because there are it's not like the worst. It's not like the worst depiction of people of different ethnic groups and stuff that Lovecraft's done, but there are definitely like some descriptions in this story, like how he describes certain things that are kind of like, but in getting back to the story itself, there's a little boy named Menes, or Meanies. In the Horror Babble audiobook I listened to, it was pronounced Meanies. And Meanies has a cat, or rather a little kitten. And the cat, yes? Sorry about that, folks. The family things. Anyway, what I was saying, so in the town of Ulthar, this caravan comes by, and one of the people with the caravan is a little boy whose kitten is taken in the night, as it were, and yeah, let's just say that when they say on the back of here that woe unto any who tries, in terms of like no man may kill a cat, yeah, truly woe unto them if you know, because of what happens in the story. So yeah, so the Cats of Ulthar, it's pretty good. It's again, some of the cultural depictions are a bit kind of like ooh. Um but yeah, it's like but I think one of the cool things about this story is that much like Statement of Randolph Carter, which I must admit, I'm recording this right after having done my video on Statement of Randolph Carter, just for transparency's sake. Um, Again, I explain why in the Statement of Randolph Carter video, but I have to go to a family wedding in a little bit, so yeah. So excuse me if I seem like I'm rushing through certain things or whatever else may arise in this video, where I like rush through or whatever. Um, so what I like about this story is in comparison to like Statement of Randolph Carter, um which is more kind of, well, it's in the title, the Statement of Randolph Carter. Like he's giving this story to like the authorities, which have him in some sort of questioning place. I like how Cats of Ulthar is more focused on. It has almost kind of like a fairy tale vibe to it. It's like in the town, even though it's like really grim subject matter. It's like in the town of Ulthar, it lays on the river sky, and no man may kill a cat. And the old cotter and his wife, they killed cats, but the villagers were, they hated the old man and his wife, but at the same time, the cottage was hidden underneath trees. It's kind of written sort of like that, and I think that does make Cats of Ulthar, like I said, it kind of gives it more of a um almost kind of like a fairy tale or like a folk tale kind of vibe to it. And I think that makes it a very interesting story in the dream cycle, especially, and actually something that I've sort of noticed starting from the fragments we covered in the first episode, kind of going through here, is that there, unlike the last sort of stories in the season one, a lot of the stories here I think are a lot more about, well, they're also about the incomprehensibility of things beyond our reality and such, but and so on, but it seems to also cover it from a more, well, there's no other real way to put it, from a dreamlike perspective. But there's also kind of, it's questioning reality, but from a dream and nightmare-ish perspective, which I feel is also a very interesting take with Lovecraft's, especially the dream cycle so far, because the other ones are about things beyond our comprehension, and if we were to understand it, we wouldn't even be able to, that the fear of the unknown. But the dream cycle, while it does definitely have that whole fear of the unknown and the unknown, I think fear of the unknown of the human conscious, like the human, like subconscious, like of the human mind and the brain, and what's real and what's dreams and what's fictional and what's reality, and that kind of thing. I sort of see Lovecraft kind of playing around with that more in these dream cycle stories than the last collection we covered, which I think is a cool sort of change of pace and kind of a growth from the that kind of things beyond reality, that sort of thing. I will say something that has been popping up that I should say, and I'll probably say it at the beginning too, that this story, The Cats of Ulthar, does contain animal cruelty. There is a lot of talk. Nothing's like graphic or anything. It's just or at least not when I read it. It's nothing like graphic. It's describing the fact that cats are being killed, and like in the night there's strange sounds, and then the next day the cat is like gone. Um, so if animal cruelty does bother you, if that's something that's like, ugh, I'm not sure if I really want to read something like that. Again, like that it is there, and I definitely understand because I love cats. I have a cat, and it's so it's in that kind of animal cruelty. It isn't people don't respond well to that in stories, but which is again understandable. But yeah, so this story, I think it does have those elements. So if you do read it, just know that while it's not graphic, it does say it and it does address it. Um, so yeah, just keep that in mind if you're like going to read it, that it does have that stuff in it, as well as the questionable cultural depictions. But um, in any case, I really like the Cats of Ulthar. Um, I'd probably give it an A, like a maybe like a mid A, because like a middle of A maybe, because again, just some of the things that is kind of like, but no, I think it's much like the rest of the Dream Cycle. It's an interesting kind of experiment with Lovecraft typical style. It's a cool sort of deviation, if you will, from the typical sort of cosmic horror that he writes. Um, so yeah, so that's it for the Cats of Ulthar, and the next story, when we come back, is Cellophase, which, much like Statement of Randolph Carter, is one of the first Lovecraft stories which I ever read. Um, I'll probably delve where I read some of these that I've read before in the video on Cellophase, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So anyway, folks, ladies, gentlemen, and gender non-conforming people, this has been your host, Andrew Carr. This has been the Carr-Quest of H.P. Lovecraft, and until next time, see you next episode when it comes out. Bye.